Yeah, and remember FDR passed the labor laws that are being 100% totally ignored right now. But that's a different discussion for a different day. Anyway, I'm glad everybody tuned in, though. Make sure that you share this video. We are getting started a little bit late, but I promise you today is going to be worth it. I'm not doing a little 10-minute video. We're going to be here for a while. And we're going to be covering a plethora of topics, and I am so happy to be here. But I wanted to give you a little update about my life real quick. My car actually got broken into this morning, so I do want to give a public service announcement. Make sure that you lock your doors, lock your car doors. People are going Christmas shopping, right? People are going Christmas shopping in people's vehicles. They obviously broke into my truck in order to find out if I had anything that they could steal, money, credit cards, anything they can sell. Luckily, all they found was bills and paperwork, and I really, really hope that you all take care of some of those bills that you saw as a Christmas present to me for breaking into my car to begin with. It's not that it's sad because I'm like too much of an empath a lot of the times. I know that a lot of the times, especially in the neighborhood that I live in, 'cause I live on a neighborhood that is being gentrified as we speak. It wasn't like that, but it is being gentrified. And I know that a lot of these people are homeless, and a lot of people are just trying to figure out some way, somehow, that they can get money. They are taking advantage of the situation. At the same time, why you want to break into my car, dog? You ain't have to break into my car. You don't have to break into anybody. Like, it breaks my heart that we even have a society where we are the richest country in the world, and yet people are so poor. They're so incredibly poor that and they're struggling, and they don't have job, and they don't have job opportunity. And mental health is a lot of the cause of a lot of homeless problems in big cities, and we don't have the proper facilities to take care of people with mental health issues unless they have insurance, but they can't get a job, so they can't have insurance. And therefore, they're stuck in this cycle where they're forced to do whatever they can and get whatever they can to take care of themselves. It's sad. It really is. But the saddest part was I thought about filing a police report. I did. I thought about filing a police report. And I couldn't. I literally got the highest state of anxiety, which I don't get anxiety very often. I get anxiety in very, very few scenarios. I can go speak to a crowd of 1 million people right now. I promise you, I wouldn't even sweat. I promise you. Ask me to call the cops. Last time the cops was called and I was in the room, they were called on someone else. I got jumped. A few years before that, I was in Greenville. I was splitting someone else's fight up because it was getting really bad. I got jumped by a cop, held down to the ground, and they beat my face in with a baton. And the other two people, nothing happened to them. They were white guys, so they got to walk off. So I couldn't even bring myself to file the police report because I'm like, it's still dark outside. I'm a 6'1", 200-pound black dude with tattoos. The car is a 2017. And if they pull up seeing a 6'1", 200-pound black guy beside an already broken into vehicle in the dark, I'm going to get shot. I can only, I'm pressing my luck that I've had the hell beat out of me. I've had my shoulder dislocated and my rotator cuff torn. I've been hospitalized by the cops. I've had my tooth this tooth right here is a fake tooth. It's a fake tooth because the cops broke my tooth off when they beat me in Greenville, North Carolina. And so at this point, I'm basically playing the odds, and the odds are not going to look good because eventually you can only have so many encounters with cops in negative situations as a black man before it's it for you. So, which is sad. Anthony Reyes said, like Meek Mill said, we can't call the cops. They're the ones shooting us. It's true. By the way, his album, Lord Jesus, spoke volumes. It was a brilliant album. As far as artistically, And conscious wise, that was probably the best album that he's ever done. So yeah. It was stressful. Like I said, it wasn't even the breaking in. That wasn't even the stressful part. It was literally just trying to make the decision. What? Oh no, Jeff, I want to be very clear about something. I got beat in North Carolina, Greenville, in Miami twice. One on Miami Beach, one in downtown Miami. In what other city was it? Greenville, Miami. Oh, Georgia. And it would have happened. It was in Valdosta, Georgia, and then it would have happened again in Atlanta, Georgia, if my girl's father wasn't there to vouch for me. It was funny, but we were all at the club together, and someone tried to essentially like assault my girlfriend at the time, like try to assault her sexually when she was ignoring him, and I pushed him out of the way. He fell, and the cops actually attacked me because I was the black guy, despite the fact that everyone in the club, including the owner, was like, no, he was literally trying to defend his girl. And then the father came out and, like, who was there, luckily, said, what are you doing? Like, this. So the one who actually is trying to do the protecting, because you all weren't here, you haven't even questioned her. You haven't asked her what happened. You just literally assumed the black guy was guilty. And the other guy was on drugs. It was clear he was on drugs, and he ran away from the crime scene when they were going to question him about why I was defending my girl. But they made sure that they had made moves to try and beat my ass to the ground. But luckily, my girl's father jumped in, and the club owner got involved. And luckily, a black cop came and actually stopped the white cops from going crazy on me. So. Man, policing institutions, any institution that is incentive based, that is based off of cash incentives, any institution that is authoritative in nature, and policing in the United States is absolutely authoritative in nature. People who live in places like Colombia, Brazil, Honduras. You all know Cuba. Well, no, not this Cuba. Cuba before Fidel. You all know that policing in, I would call former apartheid countries, and make no mistake about it, we didn't call it an apartheid country because we didn't want to be associated with South Africa and Cuba and all those countries that were also a part of the apartheid. We didn't want to be associated with it, but we were an apartheid country. So any of the countries that were part of this apartheid culture, the policing is bad, and we are the targets. You can face reality or you don't have to, but fake tooth, torn rotator cuff, and I'm someone who worked for Bernie Sanders, right? I'm generally well-spoken. I'm of a lighter skin variety. I'm educated. I graduated from a top 5 school in the damn country. I'm a veteran. Fake tooth, torn rotator cuff, hospitalized. And I would have hospital bills if I didn't have TRICARE. It's heartbreaking. There was a situation that I would have been, my friend right now is in a situation, he's Mexican. Good God, if you are not from Georgia, do not drive right now. The cops are literally they're ICE agents too now. So they're being incentivized to pull over anyone who looks Latino. And you will lose the fight every time, regardless of whether or not you're undocumented or if you're a card-carrying citizen of the United States. You will be arrested for whatever way they can. Or they will slap every single ticket they can on you because the federal government is incentivizing them to. And they already have the racial biases. It's freaking Georgia, one of the reddest states in the union. So, but in a situation right now, I have a friend who was sharing a story about her friend who is a immigration activist who actually was pulled over, or excuse me, was arrested for an altercation with a cab driver, because cab drivers in the South are generally, they overcharge and they'll hit you over the head with whatever they can. They arrested him. He's still sitting in jail to this day. The only reason that I am not still sitting in jail when I was wrongfully arrested in Georgia was because I had the connections to get me out. So if I'm dealing with this, it's like I'm dealing with this and I have the connections. I have certain I have softer quote unquote features. Like I am well spoken. I have the education. And I have to deal with this. What chance does the average black male have? What chance does the average Latino American in our current political and socioeconomic what chance do they have, people? It's sad. But sorry, I just had to get that off my chest, because y'all know this is therapy for me. Y'all like my family. Mikasa, Sukasa, right? I like getting this type of stuff off my chest, and I'm glad that you all love to get this type. Y'all have your own things that you're dealing with that I see you all talk about in the comment section, and so I'm glad that this is therapeutic journally for all parties involved. And so I just had to get that off my chest, and I appreciate y'all taking the time to listen to that. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started, right? So, as you all know, we definitely have been covering the Tim Canova campaign at length for a long, long time. You all know Tim Canova is a good friend of mine. I worked on his campaign as a volunteer, and I will continue to do whatever I can, whatever capacity I can to help him out. And Tim has once again proven that he will continue to do whatever he can to make sure that your voices are heard, that you are represented in our democracy that is being honestly stolen from us from all sides, not Democrat, not Republican, all sides, and I'm not going to blame other third parties, but I would say that outside of Jill Stein herself, hers personally, other third parties are complicit in our democracy being taken away from us, or else we would have ranked choice voting in every state right now, or else we would have ballot initiatives being put on the table right now to make sure that third parties had access to debate stages and things like that, that we had access to ballots, that we were hand counting ballots in front of multiple people, that we were not using voting machines, that we were only doing paper ballots, that we're doing automatic audits, all that good stuff. We need those ballot initiatives right now, and there are third parties with the means and the resources to do that, and the organization to do that, and yet we have not seen it, because I feel personally that third parties have overall become complicit in losing, and I think that that culture needs to change. You can't become the Cleveland Browns of politics and expect to be effective. It doesn't matter how great your policies are, you still have to have the infrastructure. You still have to have a quote-unquote winning culture. Tim Canova is one of the bravest people that I've seen, and is one of the most consistent in his values. And he yet again is showing that. Disobedient Media and Elizabeth Voss reports that earlier in the week, December 1st, former congressional candidate Tim Canova announced that his legal team filed a complaint officially contesting the election results in last month's congressional race, in which Tim Canova faced off against former DNC chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. The Tim Canova campaign website says that Tim Canova, independent candidate in Florida's 23rd congressional district, has filed a motion for court to invalidate, turn up, the election results for 2018 general election, and declare that a new election shall proceed with hand-marked paper ballots that are counted by hand in public and reported immediately and publicly at the local precinct level. In the details of Tim Canova's court filing, Broward County Election Supervisor Brenda Snipes is alleged to have engaged in misconduct that was sufficient to change or place in doubt the results of the 2018 election. Canova cites Snipes, Dozell Spencer, the SOE director of voting equipment, and the deputy supervisors violated their oaths to faithfully perform their duties, engaged in repeated misconduct and violations of state and federal laws, including criminal statutes. highlights in that complaint. Snipes failed to safeguard the chain of custody in the paper ballots cast in Broward County for this election, and the scope of the issue was sufficient to change or place in doubt the results of this election that are now certified. The certification of the purported 2018 election results is based on inadequate and incomplete information, and it is therefore an invalid certification of those results. More specifically, approximately 98,000 votes are reported by Snipes to have been cast for Schultz without any indication as to how or when those votes were cast. To date, Snipes still has not provided this information about the 98,000 votes from nowhere. The voting machines used for the election are inherently defective as to the chain of custody for the electronic votes cast in this election. So, Tim Canova's team did a fantastic job. Once again, I guess I technically am part of his team. It's weird when you're speaking about something that you were part of, but in hindsight, tangentially, but you're like, I was there and I was part of it and I did help investigate stuff, but like, I'm a journalist now, so like I always forget politics stuff. I forget to include myself in it. But yeah, I guess the team of Tim Canova, including myself and others who were involved, they did a fantastic job putting this information together, getting it to Tim in a timely and prompt manner, and allowing Tim to dispute these results. In my personal opinion, more than anything else, what lets us know that we need to decertify these elections is the fact that Brenda Snipes was indeed, whether or not she wants to say it or not, she was indeed forced to resign. That lets us know everything about the Florida's 23rd, not just Tim Canova's elections, but I think we would have to re-vote in every single race in Florida's 23rd district, which is Broward County. For those of you who aren't familiar with the area, Broward County would be the Fort Lauderdale area, and just there's a smidgen north of North Miami. I think even part of it is, I think that some of Broward is even considered Miami. So, yeah, it's Tim Canova's doing what he can to preserve our democracy, and the fact that Brenda Snipes had to resign really is indicative of how many people don't have faith in these elections. That's what Tim is highlighting, and everything that he said was true. The discrepancies in the voter count, like I said. I gotta show you all the videos because the numbers, I can't remember all the numbers right off my head, but the videos that I did when I covered right after the election, I covered the election right after it was done, literally the day after, and I highlighted all of the discrepancies in the vote counting. Even if those votes were legitimate, the numbers were still way off, as in there was some suppression going on, or even worse, like there was literally hundreds of thousands of people whose ballots were not counted. Like there was nobody's ballots were counted like that. Like they just fabricated results based off of absolutely nothing but the numbers that were put into the machines to reflect the numbers that they wanted us to see. What? But hey, the Democrats were so upset at the Republicans for cheating in Georgia, but had nothing to say about Debbie Wasserman Schultz, nothing to say about Brenda Snipes. Was trying to make the Democrats were trying to make the race about Rick Scott trying to steal an election he already won. No, I think Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Brenda Snipes, and Rick Scott potentially, I will say potentially, Rob DeSantis as well, were all in cahoots. That's my personal belief. I believe that Rick Scott, I'm telling you all what I know. I'm not making this up. Tim Canova reached out to Rick Scott directly, people. He reached out to Rick Scott directly when his ballots were destroyed the first time. Guess what happened? You got it right. Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing happened to those ballots. The bomb clot ballots were destroyed by Brenda Snipes. Tim Canova filed their report that the bomb clot thing was done. Not a ras clot thing was done. You like my Shada's impression? All right. Nothing was done. Rick Scott knew. Tim Canova got all the emails. He has all the responses. And you know what he was told by an establishment insider in the Republican Party? They're not going to do anything about it because they all rely on each other. Because everybody. Broward County is one of the richest districts in the country. Top 3, top 4, something like that. They get second or third most school funding in the country. And they're one of the 2 or 3 on the East Coast. I think they're top 2 in the country, top 5. They have the highest population of voters. And you think that every politician in Florida doesn't want to use Broward County to rig their election? Of course they do. It's a come on. Matter of fact, Carolyn was there. Carolyn saw it all. Carolyn was part of it. Carolyn saw how energized the people were to vote for Tim Canova. And more so, we all saw, whoever was involved in Tim Canova's campaign, we saw not only how energized people were to vote for Tim Canova, but how many people hated Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I mean, I'm talking about there were people who were blue no matter who were handing out pamphlets for all the Democrats that should be voted for and scratching off Debbie Wasserman Schultz's name. Yeah. CJ, Trump banned. First of all, that thumbnail is a YouTube issue. YouTube messed up. That's not the correct thumbnail. But first of all, let me go ahead and clear that little nonsense up about Trump banning Epstein from his premises. Trump banned Epstein from his premises because one of Trump's friend's daughters was hit on by Epstein, and then was asked to go to Epstein's residence. That is the only reason why Trump banned Epstein. But up until that point, by the way, that happened in 1999, I think. Trump wrote a book in 2001, 2002 time frame talking about how awesome Epstein was. About how he knew Epstein had loved young women. Just saying. So, and he hired one of Epstein's co-conspirators to his administration, to his cabinet. What's the debate? Your man is complicit in Epstein's behavior. I don't get it, people. What is it? He is a billionaire elitist prick who can't even decide what party he wants to run in. He doesn't know what party he belongs to. You know what party he belongs to? The party of the rich. Whoever pats him on the back the most. Alex Lopez, thanks for the super chat, bro. Tim should have ran as a Democrat again. Thoughts? No, because he would have never got to the general election. And if he would have never got to the general election, we would not have the numbers that we have now. The only reason that we can provide a satisfactory analysis of how exactly he was cheated, or at least our closest educated guess as to how he was cheated, it was because we have numbers and access to numbers now that we have not had in his we did not have in his last election. Like I said, the simplest example I can think of is he got less votes in a general election than he did in the primaries. That almost never happens. I would say it generally never happens. In fact, more people voted in the primary election than who voted in the general. I'm talking about there's only Democrats who vote in the primary elections, right? So between Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, less people voted in the general election. We would have never figured that out if Tim Canova did not run as an independent. He already had his opportunity destroyed. So at that point, why would you in that situation, you can't go back. When Brenda, like, it's the Debbie Wasserman Schultz we're talking about. This isn't some random Democrat that can be off. This isn't someone who hasn't had that power and that clout yet. She has all the power and all the clout in the sense that she has all the information. And when it comes to politics, the more damning information that you have, that's the person who has the most power. Thanks for the question. Thanks for the super chat. Yeah. So thank you, Tim Canova, for that. Thank you greatly. Really appreciate it. And I'm sure, you know, I'll probably call you later on today to get the details. But just as a spectator, as someone who's been part of your campaign, and as a journalist and an activist, everything you do means so much to everybody. And I'm sure you already saw the video of everyone thanking you. And once again, could never thank you enough. Alex, so you said, doesn't it prove that he can be cheated far more easily as an independent? Actually, yeah, it does. So that once again gave us some insight as to how rigged this system overall is. Now we have even further proof, in my opinion, that maybe Jill Stein did reach 5%. Which, by the way, you know, she just won a major lawsuit in Pennsylvania, which I'm covering in another video. I might even cover it today, depending on how much time we have. But we're seeing. This is what I would say. This is what I said about it. They're like, oh, you're trying to tell me that Bernie Sanders couldn't get 10% to change the blah, blah, blah for the green? I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to tell you, or 5%, 10%, whatever. No, I'm saying absolutely. They wouldn't give it to him. They would not give it to him. That's why Tulsi and Bernie can't. Tulsi wouldn't even have run. Tulsi is one of the most popular politicians in Hawaii and wouldn't have won Hawaii as an independent, because it's not the independents who have control over the voting infrastructure. It is the Democrats and or Republicans. That's how it works. So that, if anything, solidified the fact that we need to stop focusing on party politics and start focusing more on ballot initiatives. We need to stop talking about, well, we need to start a third party. We need to start another third party and another third party and 5 more third parties. And I'm all about more parties. That's fine. But unless your party has changed ballot initiatives in that state, I don't want to hear about it. Much love, a lot of respect. Keep doing what you do. Green New Deal, all that good stuff. But can you get on the debate stage right now? Guaranteed. Do you have ranked choice voting in your city to guarantee that you have an opportunity to win? If you have not introduced those things, at least made an effort to do so, I don't want to hear about it. Now, on the other side of that fence, Democrats are cheaters. Right? That is something that we can't. It's all, Alex, it's the moral story is it's all situational. It's all circumstantial. Every now and then, in a situation like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez with low voter turnouts, that is actually running as a Democrat was a way to win that district. Rashida Tlaib, same scenario. Democrats don't have as much of a stronghold in Michigan, and therefore it is much harder for them to rig elections. And when she won up against a Democrat directly, and it was no general election that they could say that Republican is worse than our Democrat, because in Rashida Tlaib's election in Michigan, as you all know, she did not have a Republican opponent, so when she won the primary, it was over. Alex, that's a loaded question. I'll do an episode dedicated to introducing ballot initiatives and things like that. But that literally varies from state to state to state to state to state. Every single state is different. Seriously, it is. So, moving on. Bernie Sanders or Tulsi Gabbard 2020. Ooh. Just hearing that question breaks a lot of hearts. It really does. I know it, because y'all are split at the seams right now. And I don't blame you, because I have a lot of love for both of them. I really do. And the integrity, the genuine integrity of either of them really are unquestioned, in my opinion. They both have made mistakes, so don't ever make the mistake of thinking that neither of them, that either of them are perfect, because neither of them are perfect. Bernie has made his mistakes more recently. Tulsi has made her mistakes in the past. So, in case you have not heard the news, Tulsi has been, I don't want to call it campaigning, because we're not in campaign season, even though we are. But she's been up and down the eastern seaboard, up and down the East Coast. Specifically right now, I think she's in the northeastern side of the U.S., shaking some hands, flashing that beautiful smile of hers. Hey, Tulsi. Talking about what progressives talk about. Green New Deal, ending wars, and let's not forget, she called Trump a whole bitch on Twitter. She literally told Trump that being Saudi Arabia's bitch is not making America great. Oh, oh, oh. Tulsi, I told y'all, she's not about the games. She don't play. She's very direct. It's just in her nature. Now, clearly, you've been seeing Bernie all over. I said that Bernie was going to run for quite some time. The day the primaries ended, while I was standing outside in tears when he conceded to Hillary Clinton when he suspended the rules. I said at that moment that I knew what he was doing. It's crazy. I feel like I was the only one who saw it. If you would have saw the look of disgust, disdain, frustration, sadness, confusion, conflict in Bernie's face before he walked out of that primary, before he walked out of that convention, you probably would have felt the same way that I do, which is I knew that he felt like we were cheated by our democratic process, and so was he. But he was not going to allow that to deter him from running again. If anything, he does what he always does. He runs, he lost, because the establishment, that's what they do. They stop the outsiders from getting in. So he said, you know what? That's okay, Hillary. I know you're going to lose. I'll endorse you. Whatever. Because that's what he was told. That's what his contract with the Democratic National Committee said he had to do. And look at him. He's never had this much access to TV. More people know who Bernie Sanders now. More people know who Bernie Sanders is now than ever before. We're in a more politically woke generation, a more politically active generation, to the point where even neoliberals, a lot of I'm talking about I don't call them neoliberals, I call them neoliberalites, because there's that weird, they don't know that they're neoliberals, but they're quoting all neoliberal talking points, but they can be brought over into the light when they see the truth. And when Bernie Sanders stands on stage with the likes of Kamala Harris, Kirsten Gillibrand, Cory Booker, Avenatti from California, you don't think that they'll be able to tell the stark difference? What the Democrats are hoping is that Tulsi and Bernie Sanders eat each other alive. And here's what I'm going to tell you. Do not be stupid enough to fall into that trap. Because I'm gonna be disappointed. I will be disappointed. I will be upset. If like, for example, me personally, right? If you ask me right now, who would I personally vote for in a primary with Bernie Sanders and Bernie Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard? Right now, I'm gonna vote for Tulsi in a primary. Off of my personal convictions. Tulsi Gabbard is staunchly anti-war. Tulsi Gabbard took her happy ass and said, you know what? I'm not going to speak about Syria from my seat, from my comfortable congressional seat in my air-conditioned first-class flights. I'm going to take my ass to Syria. I'm going to speak to Assad myself. I'm going to look at the death. I'm going to look at the pain, and I will make the determination on whether or not what they're saying about Assad is true or false. I'm not going to allow Trump to sell us out to Saudi Arabia without calling him out. I'm not going to allow the Democrats to, do what they do. And I think that more than anything else, the most telling thing about Tulsi Gabbard's career, her evolution, because that's what she has truly evolved, is, and once again, Grandpa Bernie is my guy. And he knows that when it comes to that general election, I will be out speaking for him. If he gets it, I will be out speaking. If Tulsi Gabbard gets the general election, I will absolutely be out speaking for her. But when it came down to it, in the eyes of America, I understand why Bernie did it the way he did. I really do. If anybody gets it, I get it. But in the eyes of the United States, there is nothing more freeing than being able to stand up for a candidate like Tulsi Gabbard, who can say, when put in a very similar situation, almost the exact same situation, having her integrity tested just in the same way that Bernie Sanders did, she was willing to sacrifice her job, sacrifice her position on the DNC, sacrifice her future run by the Democratic Party backing her, because she was next in line. They wanted a Tulsi Gabbard right after Hillary Clinton. She was a vice chair of the DNC. People always forget that. She gave up that position to back Bernie Sanders. She was the one who stood up and said, hey, I don't know what the hell these people are talking about, but we should not be trying to go to war with Syria. I spoke to Assad. I know what's really happening. Why? She was the one who came out when all the mainstream media was trying to demonize Assad. She's like, why we're demonizing Assad? We're selling weapons to Al-Qaeda and Trump is okay with that. He is approving it. So from that perspective, I absolutely would vote for Tulsi Gabbard in that scenario that she's with Bernie Sanders. Now, am I going to be mad at anybody who votes for Bernie? Hell no, please vote for him. I'm really not. And guess what? Here's where it's going to really throw people for a loop. They both need to run. Both of them. Both of them need to run. We need to hear both of their truths. We need Tulsi Gabbard to push Bernie further left when it comes to foreign policy. We need Tulsi Gabbard to push Bernie to be more, in my opinion, ferocious on that debate stage. Because when they start attacking Tulsi, I'm telling you, this is the same woman who called Trump the congresswoman, the sitting congresswoman who talks like this in every interview she has, who's so calm, who's so sensual. Hey, Tulsi. But what I'm saying is, it's not about that. What I'm saying is, this woman who is the calmest woman in the world goes on Twitter and tells Trump, you're a bitch. So if you think she's going to stand on the debate stage and let them walk all over her, you got another thing coming. And if you think that will not catch the eye of a Bernie Sanders, where his people will be like, yo, look at those numbers that are, because she's standing up in a very similar way. She's standing up to the establishment in the same way that you did, but with ferocity. And it will make him start calling out the truth. It's the facts. Now, once again, we need everybody to run. I want Nina to run. Here's why. The way that the delegate situation works in the primaries is not a winner-take-all scenario. It's whoever ends up with the most at the end. And if you don't get the most, you have to go to a contested convention. And if you go to a contested convention, you can have a scenario like we saw with Martin O'Malley that a lot of people conveniently have forgotten. Remember what happened? The only reason, first of all, Hillary was beat at the convention. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to say that, but she was beat at the convention. I was there. I know the delegates who counted or who were part of the counts of the votes. She lost twice. Okay. They gave it to her. But we need the Nina Turners and the Tulsi Gabbards to throw their votes behind Bernie Sanders. Or even if Tulsi's in the lead, have Nina and Bernie's votes thrown behind Tulsi Gabbard. Because as long as Nina Turner, Tulsi Gabbard, and Bernie Sanders stay in the race, I guarantee people, I guarantee you will not have a situation where anyone reaches the requisite amount of votes to win the primary before the convention. And when you have three of now the most popular candidates, politicians, what have you, in the country, remember I said Bernie is smarter than what people think. He saw how Hillary Clinton's super PAC was positioning her for 7 years in advance to get early endorsements in the primary. You know what he did? He said, hey, I'm going to start our revolution. I'm going to get candidates in office now. I'm going to get governors in office. I'm going to get congresswomen and congresspeople in office. I'm going to get the people of color in office. I'm going to get Muslims in office. I'm going to get progressives in office. And guess who all of them are going to back when I run for office? Guess who all of them are going to back when I announce for presidency? Yeah. He's a smart man. You got to give him that. And one of my friends on Facebook took a picture with him, and she asked him for advice. And Bernie told her, play the long game. So, like I said, that was always the plan. And Bernie Sanders executed it very well, because he's still now more than ever the most popular candidate in the country. But I think policy-wise, like I said, I'm a foreign policy person, because, like I said, the worst problem that I have to deal with is being black. Right, I am a black man in America, and we have to deal with poverty and things like that. I like just American in general, but being black is my worst problem. Right. That's the worst thing that can happen to me, is like something can happen to me because I'm black in a very racist administration. I want to be very clear about that. But on the other side of that fence, like, I don't have to worry about a bomb being dropped on my house because of where I live. So foreign policy is very important to me. Now, to each his own. But I'm just saying, as an empath, as a person who cares deeply for the livelihood of others who may not have had the opportunities that I've had, I want to see our foreign policy unilaterally, in 100% changed across the book. Whatever means that Biden is one of the most popular Democrats. No, okay, so let me go ahead and revisit this issue before I move on to the next topic. No, he's not. He isn't. Biden is literally not. Do y'all remember Joe Biden before he was Barack Obama's vice president and before he was in all of these memes? You don't remember him because he ran for president. People forget. He ran for president. You know why you don't remember it? Because he was so boring. He was so unlikable. He was so blah. He was so conservative that no one voted for him. No one. When he gets back on that debate stage, no one will vote for him again. I don't know what you're talking. I don't know what you want to say. Like, if Joe Biden can run if he wants to, but it'll be embarrassing. There are certain vice presidents, because people assume if you're positioned the vice presidency, then your next stop is the White House. But y'all have forgotten the litany of vice presidents who have been boring, and that's why they were picked to be vice presidents, because they were non-contentious, because they were safe, because they wouldn't question the authority of the popular guy who won the presidency. You all forget these things. Well, the neoliberals do. Y'all don't. But Joe Biden is... What policy can you get behind for Joe Biden? Other than, well, he looked really cool in those memes and he looks funny. Like, nah. Joe Biden is an eh. Now, we have to have more progressives run, because at the end of the day, they're going to run a bunch of corporatists. They're going to run a bunch of corporatists. And they will all give their delegates at the end of when it's all said and done, they will all give their delegates to whoever the corporatist candidate left is. I think that Kamala may get eliminated first and early. Believe it or not, I think that she might be the first out, because the California primaries is the second Super Tuesday this time, rather than the last Super Tuesday. So it's like 2 months in, Kamala could be gone, because I don't think she's gonna. Between Tulsi, who was extremely popular in California, Bernie, who literally just got the wages of Disney workers raised, amongst other benefits, there's no way in hell Kamala's going to win her state. Do you understand how many... Oh, I cannot wait for Kamala Harris to run. The skeletons in her closet, they will make sure that she never gets another office ever again, let alone be the president of the United States of America. So that's gone. Her sister was working for Hillary Clinton, was one of her chief advisors. Her sister now works for Podesta. Really? You don't think this stuff is going to come back to bite her? It's too easy. Cory Booker, he's done. Kirsten Gillibrand, she's a snooze. She's boring. And guess what? Whether it's Kamala Harris being a black woman, Kirsten Gillibrand being a woman, Cory Booker being black, I guess. See what I did right there. Like I said, Cory Booker says he's black. But last I checked, we ain't never invited Cory Booker to the barbecue. I ain't never seen him at no barbecues. I ain't seen him at no rap concerts. We ain't seen him at the NAACP meetings. We ain't seen him on a Breakfast Club interview. No hot new hip hop. We ain't seen you at no basketball games, bro. We don't know you. You not with us. I'm sorry, dog. I don't know what to tell you. But my point is that they are not going to lose because they are respectively black or a woman or a black woman. They're going to lose because they suck. They suck bad. They aren't even impactful. When's the last time you watched a Cory Booker speech or a Kamala Harris or a Kirsten Gillibrand speech? It was like, I can't wait to vote for them. They are so exciting. Never. Even if they weren't bad. Like Nina Turner would trick me, because Lord Jesus, if you ever listen to Nina Turner speak, this woman can move a crowd in ways that I have not seen many speakers move a crowd. She is out of this world. That is neither of those three candidates. Bernie Sanders, obviously, the same way. I think that the one thing that Tulsi has to work on is getting the relaxation out of her voice, because she is from Hawaii. She does have some of that. Hey guys, I just want to make sure that we're all just loving each other, Aloha from Hawaii. So we got to get her a little bit more riled up. Tulsi on Twitter is kind of like this. People, it's funny. It's habitual. I've noticed this throughout my entire social media experience. People who are like really, really, what's the word? Boisterous, if you will, on Twitter specifically. They're usually quiet in real life, and that is the definition of Tulsi Gabbard. So not saying that she is underwhelming, because she's definitely not that. She is a presence, but the being exciting and being momentous in the way that she carries herself and speaks is very important when you're running for office, especially the presidency. So yeah. Moving on. Mueller withheld details that would exonerate the president of having Kremlin back channels. This was reported by Zero Hedge. It appears that special counsel Robert Mueller withheld key information in its plea deal with Donald Trump's former attorney, Michael Cohen, which would exonerate and undermine the entire purpose of the special counsel, according to Paul Sperry of Real Clear Investigations. What's funny enough is how much information has already come out that would totally exonerate like almost everybody. Like anybody that was accused of anything Russiagate would, like, there's so much information that's already been dropped. Whether it's the FBI, like the Uranium One deal, the FBI informant that came out and was like, that was Hillary, not Donald Trump. So many legitimate ways to hold Donald Trump accountable. So many legitimate things that we could discuss. But we're still talking about Russiagate like it's going. And now, funny enough, this story drops on December the 3rd. Guess what they're doing on December the 4th? Oh, guess what? He's about to open the lid. Robert Mueller's about to open the lid on this investigation. Man, get out of here. He's not opening the lid on shit. Anyway. Cohen pleaded guilty last week to lying to the Senate intelligence community in 2017 about the Trump organization's plans to build a Trump Tower in Moscow, telling them under oath that the negotiations he's conducting ended 5 months sooner than they actually did. Man, I wish that we could get Hillary to plead guilty to lying to the Senate over and 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 over again. But that's neither here nor there. We're going to continue. Mueller, however, in his 9-page charging document filed with the court, seen by Capitol Hill sources, failed to include the fact. Isn't it crazy how these reports constantly, it's almost like James Comey got his investigative skill set from Robert Mueller, because Robert Mueller was his boss. But I'm sure there are no conflicts of interest there at all, right? Mueller, in his 9-page document, failed to include the fact that Cohen had no direct contacts at the Kremlin, which undercuts any notion that the Trump campaign had a back channel to Putin. Now, Trump wanting to build in Moscow is not weird. And he's a real estate guy. That's what he does. And I don't know if you all are familiar with the Eastern Europe's general success when it comes to foreign direct investments, but they are very well known for people investing because they have, I mean, let's be honest with you, there are looser laws when it comes to real estate in Eastern Europe, Russia included. And so you also see places like Bulgaria and Romania. They're also very, very, they're known to have rich billionaire moguls who are known for their real estate investments, set up shop in those countries. And generally, Trump has been interested in Eastern Europe, especially their women, for a long time now. If he is the owner of a Trump like empire, why would you not have an empire? Why would you not set up shop in Moscow if you were given the opportunity to? That's what's weird to me. That's what's weird to me. Like, that's what I would expect. Isn't that what you would expect if you were like? That's like saying that there wouldn't, if like, not that BP had a lot of problems, first of all, but if you were a BP and you were in the oil industry and you know that Russia thrives in the oil industry, would you not try to set up some type of subsidiary in Moscow? Just like if you were in the beach resort industry, you would try to set up a subsidiary in Rio de Janeiro, in Brazil, by the beach. Like, now once again, it looks to me like on the like neoliberal side of things, Barack Obama spoke at Wall Street, did a lot of stuff for Wall Street, and got paid for it almost directly. And it looks almost like for Donald Trump, or for Barack Obama specifically, that he got a lot of quid pro quo for the things that he did while he was in office. If you're going to convince me that Donald Trump is corrupt, that he practiced corrupt business tactics, I would say you're probably 100% right. But what this zero hedge coverage shows us is that the reason, in my opinion, this is what it shows. The reason that it was conveniently left out, that Michael Cohen had no back channels to the Kremlin, is because to do business in Russia, you don't necessarily have to go through the Kremlin. That's ignorant. That is silly. It is xenophobic. It is dumb to think that. Well, how do we know that, Niko? Okay, because to do business in the United States, like just general business, if you're literally putting up a hotel, I'm not talking about doing an entire uranium deal, cough, cough, Hillary Clinton. I'm talking about putting a damn hotel up. We have a Trump Tower on Miami Beach. We have another Trump Tower in Sunrise, in Aventura, or not Aventura, excuse me, Sunny Isle Beach in Miami. Do you think that Trump called up Rick Scott and said, "Hey, Rick, is it okay? Is it okay that I build my hotel here? Is that going to be is that a problem or?" No, it's stupid. It's retarded. Come on, people. That's not how business works. Now, he may have had to call some Cuban mob bosses up to make sure it was okay. But I seriously doubt that he had to call Rick. So to assume that, he had to get approval from Putin. And so he said, hey, if you let me build my hotel up and, by the way, help me cheat to become president of the United States of America, I will give you our democracy. Like, that's a trash plot. That's like a stupid, trashy plot from like a G.I. Joe movie. Come on. So why are you not including something? Because then you're going to ask, hold up, did Manafort have direct connections to the Kremlin like you were alleging? Then we're going to find out that's a lie. Did Trump Jr. actually have connections like you were alleging? Then we're going to find out that's a lie also. And then the dice will start rolling, the snowball will go downhill, and we're going to figure out that millions of our tax dollars were wasted. Again. What a surprise. It's getting old, but yet here we are. So sad. So thanks Zero Hedge for covering that story, and I want to give credit to one second. Who was the original people that covered it? Real Clear Investigations, Paul Sperry. So thanks to those guys as well. I want to cover this as well. So page 2 of that same charging document offers further evidence that there was no connection between Trump's campaign and the Kremlin. An August 2017 letter from Cohn to the Senate intelligence community says that Trump was never in contact with anyone about this quote-unquote Moscow project proposal other than me, an assertion with which Mueller does not contest as false. So in other words, Cohen said that he did not talk to anyone else about that project other than the lawyer, which would make sense because that's what attorneys are for. And Mueller did not even contest that because he has no facts to contest it, because it's probably true, because Russia didn't rig our elections. I'm pretty sure my 12-year-old sister could do better investigative work than Robert Mueller and James Comey and Andrew McCabe. I'm not even exaggerating. An assertion, it means that the prosecutors have tested its veracity through corroborating sources and found it to be truthful, according to Sperry's sources. Also, unchallenged by Mueller is Cohen's statement that he ultimately, quote unquote, ultimately determined that the proposal was not feasible and never agreed to make a trip to Russia. Though Cohen may have lied to Congress about the dates, which is kind of weird because maybe he just was off about the dates. I like 5 months. So here's the deal. 5 months can be a big deal, but also 5 months can be absolutely nothing because if you ask me about what happened last year, I might be able to give you a 3-month time frame based off of the events in my life that were occurring at the time. And that's about as close as that gets. But in a business deal of that magnitude, 5 months about a single conversation, I would never be able to tell you. Literally, I would never be able to tell you, just for scope. So the Hill reports that though Cohen may have lied to Congress about the dates, one Hill investigator said, it's clear from personal messages he sent in 2015 and 2016 that the Trump organization did not have formal lines of communication set up with Putin's office or the Kremlin during the campaign, and that there was no secret back channel. The Russiagate investigation is dead. And boom goes the dynamite. It's over. It's done. It's over. That's it. Friendships were ended. Careers were lost. Jobs put in jeopardy. Lies told about Julian Assange, WikiLeaks. Integrity of various individuals, including myself, were challenged, disparaged over a lie. A lie that Mueller is still trying his damnedest to maintain. It's a lie. Moving on. Elizabeth Lee Voss reported yesterday. The Guardian's reputation in tatters after forger revealed to have co-authored that Assange smear. The Assange smear that TYT covered. The Assange smear that TYT covered that they never covered again after Assange's lawyers came out and said that that was a lie. The Assange smear that TYT covered, never covered again after we knew that the guy who wrote the article was a notorious liar and Assange smearer and Russiagate co-conspirator. Like, he got rich off of telling lies about Russiagate. And TYT ran with that information, but I bet they won't cover this. We can guarantee it. Shout out to Elizabeth Lee Voss, good friend of mine. Her work, God, amazing, people. Her work is absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. December 3rd, 2018, Elizabeth Lee Voss reports, regular followers of WikiLeaks related news are at this point familiar with the multiple serious infractions of the journalistic efforts by Luke Harding and The Guardian, especially, though not exclusively, when it comes to Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. However, another individual at the heart of this matter is far less familiar to the public. That man is Fernando Villavicencio. Okay, cool. A prominent Ecuadorian. Villavicencio. Got it. Cool. A political activist and journalist, director of U.S. aid-funded NGO Fundamedios. I don't know why I can't speak Spanish today. Don't ask me. And editor of the online publication Focus Ecuador. Most readers are also aware that Guardian's recent publication of claims that Julian Assange met with former Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort on 3 occasions. This has been definitively debunked by Felix Navarez, the former consul at Ecuador's London embassy between 2010 and 2018, who says Paul Manafort has never visited the embassy during the time he was in charge there. But this was hardly the first time the outlet published a dishonest smear authored by Luke Harding against Assange. Dishonest smears that were then regurgitated just so they could slander Donald Trump and Julian Assange by TYT. But hey, they're progressive though. They're objective. That's what they would have you believe. They're liars. They're dirty, stinking liars. I don't give a damn what way you want to spin it. They're liars. They are pretend progressives. They are convenient progressives. They are progressive when it comes to the things that they want. They are progressive when it comes to protecting their identity. They're protective when it comes to protecting their careers, because a progressive career is how they got to the point where they're at right now, and they don't want to sacrifice that aspect of it. But they're only progressive as far as their checkbook will allow them to be. Be very clear about that. The paper is also no stranger to publishing stories based on fabricated documents. In May, Disobedient Media reported on the Guardian's hatchet job relating to the Operation Hotel, or rather, the normal security operations of the embassy under former Ecuadorian President Rafael Correa. That piece, co-authored by Harding and Dan Collins, asserted, among other things, that, according to the anonymous source, Assange hacked the embassy security system. The allegation was promptly refuted by Correa as absurd in an interview with The Intercept, and also by WikiLeaks as the anonymous libel, with which The Guardian had gone too far with, and at that point WikiLeaks was suing. A shared element of The Guardian's Operation Hotel fabrications in the latest libel attempt to link Julian Assange to Paul Manafort is none other than Fernando Villavicencio, the same guy that was mentioned in the earlier part of the article that I couldn't pronounce his name. In 2014, Villavicencio was caught passing a forged document to The Guardian. In 2014, the guy who lied on Julian Assange was caught passing a forged document to The Guardian. Once again, do you think TYT is going to cover this? What are they going to say, that they don't know that it was done? I will say Disobedient Media and Elizabeth Lee Voss's writings are well known, very, very well known. To pretend that they don't know this when their own employees you know and are familiar with and retweet. They're going to pretend what? Bruh. You can't pretend. You know. You jumped on the story when you thought that Trump's campaign was implicated. You jumped on it. You quoted a story from someone who got information from a forger, who forged information about the same guy that the story is about in the past, but you didn't check your resources. You jumped on it instead because you believe that MSM was going to tell you the truth. You thought that the mainstream media was telling the truth, but you're the same company who pretends that you're avidly against the mainstream. You lying sacks of shit. Earlier this year, an independent journalist writing under the pseudonym Jimmy Slamma penned a comprehensive report detailing Villavicencio's relationships with the pro-U.S. actors within Ecuador and the U.S. She sums up her findings, which are worth the reading full, which you can read on the Disobedient Media article. And I'll post that in the description when this video uploads. But this is the important quote. The information in this post alone should make everyone question why in the world the Guardian will continue to use a source like Villavicencio, who is obviously tied to the U.S. government, the CIA, individuals like Thor Halvorsen and Bill Browder, the opponents of both Julian Assange and former President Rafael Correa. As most readers recall, it was Correa who granted Assange asylum in Ecuadorian embassy in London. Villavicencio was also vehemently opposed to Rafael Correa's socialist government that during the failed coup of 2010 against Correa, he falsely accused the president of crimes against humanity by ordering police to fire on crowds. It was actually Correa who was being shot at. Correa sued him for libel and won, but pardoned Villavicencio for the damages awarded by the court. So he didn't even take the money from the liar. Man, our warriors in this movement, our leaders in this movement that we have going on are the most selfless, just altruistic people. All they want is integrity. They want to show that their integrity can't be questioned, so they can go on and do the good that people like Correa have done, that people like Assange have done, that people like Tim Canova have done. People like Elizabeth Lee Voss, who writes these brilliant pieces and puts all the pieces together. Really one of them, her and Caitlin Johnstone, two of the most brilliant writers that I know. The way they put things together is a form of art, really. And Liz always makes fun of me. We always go back and forth. And she's like, I could never do what you do standing in front of a camera every day. I said, I couldn't do what you do having to write everything and put it in such, like I said, in such a brilliant and illustrative way that it's so it's easily received and easily palatable to the average reader. And so shout out to everybody in this movement who does things like that. He won his lawsuit just to clear his name and didn't even take the money from Villavicencio. That's impressive. So anyway, the Guardian took in from. If that was me, that was Tim Black, that was Jimmy Dore, Liz, or even Caitlin Johnstone. Do you think we still have our careers? If we were the Guardian, you think MCSC Network would still be here right now if we took information from a known forger and tried to write a groundbreaking, potentially life-threatening story about a Julian Assange or somebody from the establishment even? Doubt it. Doubt it. I sincerely doubt it. One more story, then we're going to go ahead and get going. Marcus Lamont Thomas. No, I apologize. Mark Lamont Hill, formerly of CNN, was fired from CNN, as you all remember, because he said Palestinians should be free and there maybe shouldn't be an apartheid state in a country that's considered to be free. I know that's so revolutionary. Hey, maybe we shouldn't treat Palestinians like shit just because they're not Jewish. Maybe. He was fired from CNN for saying that. But it gets worse. He is also potentially being let go from his position at Temple University. For what? And he's tenured. That would be the lawsuit from hell, by the way. I mean, tenured professors pretty much do whatever the hell they want to and never lose their job. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Y'all familiar with David Rubin, right? You're familiar with David Rubin, formerly of TYT, left because he wasn't getting paid enough, basically, and wasn't getting the shine that he would like. And now he has a show called The Rubin Report where he always talks about being a classical liberal and how bad socialism sucks and how he is a free speech advocate. I'm for the free exchange of ideas, the marketplace of ideas. Have y'all heard from David Rubin? I haven't heard from David Rubin. Have you heard from David? I haven't. Still waiting. Oh, actually, no. I think he actually celebrated Mark Lamont Hill being fired because of his words that weren't even untrue. Y'all know Ben Shapiro is. Y'all know him. That BS, Ben Shapiro. Synonymous, yeah, because he is full of shit. Y'all heard from him about free speech, the firing of Mark Lamont Hill? Anybody heard anything from him? Anybody see any viral videos on YouTube? CRTV, any of them? Candace Owens? Charlie Kirk? Steven Crowder? Any of them? Any of them? Any of them? They are Milo, me, Blackablish. Have any of them? The same ones that were crying, they won't let us speak in our college campus. They won't let us speak. The liberal left, the social justice warrior, won't let us speak in our college events. The left doesn't like free speech. Black Panther, what's so good about it? Ben Shapiro. Why won't TYT give me more money? David Rubin. I'm gay, but for some reason I hate gay people and are constantly disparaging them and everybody else for money. Milo. I have problems because I don't want to self-victimize myself because I've wanted to fit in with white people my entire life, and so I'll sell out my soul for it. Candace Owens. Y'all whine and complain and whine and complain. Free speech, marketplace of ideas. Oh, you said something about Israel? Oh, Koch brothers not having that. Koch brothers get a lot. They get a lot of money from Israel. They got money in Israel. Koch brothers party establishment. Koch brothers pay all of their bills. So you thought that when they said free speech, they meant free speech for everybody? No, what they mean to say is that they want to be able to peddle the Koch brothers bullshit for money without you whining about it. And what's so ironic is that for a long time, they had made a living, and still do to a degree, off of calling out the social justice warriors of the left. The social justice warriors of the left. All they do is cry and complain. They're always looking. It's outrage culture. They went to defend Roseanne like she was a godsend. I don't believe Roseanne should have been fired. I said it's a bad precedent. I said if the ratings drop because the people want her gone, that's one thing. But they're just as bad. You think they're social justice warriors only on the left? No. No. That's not how it works. The social justice warriors are just as bad, if not worse on the on the right, because let's be honest, some of the things that are said about the things that women go through is true. Some of the things that are said by social justice warriors on the left that Native Americans go through, that black people go through, Latinos go through, that stuff is true. But these motherfuckers will make themselves victims in every situation. Look, David Rubin gets, I want to say, 15, 20,000 through Patreon. And that was before he took it down, like before he took the amount that he made down. God knows how much money he gets through YouTube. God knows how much money he gets through going on tour. And you know he was complaining about? The one video that he did that got demonetized because he was not spewing nonsense. And it wasn't even fully demonetized. It was like it just couldn't get ads, but it could still get YouTube revenue, which is a whole different conversation. But my point is, he used the video, the one video that got demonetized because he was spewing nonsense. He was. To try and get more money. That means you should all give me more money. Even though I make, God knows, $30,000 to $40,000, $50,000 a month from lying, from selling out, give me more money, and people do it. People actually give him more money. But when's the last time you seen David Rubin debate anybody on the left? When's the last time you seen Ben Shapiro debate? They wouldn't even allow Candace Owens to debate at Politicon. They wouldn't like what? Ann Coulter backed out, if I recall, at Politicon. Also, the only one I have any mild respect for at that point was Charlie Kirk, and he got, I don't even really like Hassan Piker all that much, to be honest with you, but he beat Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk got so emotional. But Charlie Kirk is funded by the Koch brothers. Yeah. So, where are the free speech advocates at? Marcus Lamont did nothing wrong whatsoever. In fact, in this scenario, he's done everything right. But in their regard, while they're traveling the country, touring, getting book deals, Ben Shapiro getting radio syndicates and doing Dave Rubin does stand up, and which he's not really that funny, but they're getting paid to lie to the American public about what they believe in. They have no values. They have no morals. They don't believe in what they say. They really don't. So anybody who believes him is laughable, but anybody who thinks that the social justice warrior nonsense is unique to the left, you're kidding yourself. You're kidding yourself. And like I said, I would even venture to say that the social justice warrior nonsense is worse on the right. Just because it's a different type of social justice doesn't mean it's not the same basic logic. So with that being said, people, thank you all so much for tuning into this morning segment of Mikasa at Sukasa. Great discussion. Thank you all for listening to me complain this morning about my car getting broken into. I appreciate it. But other than that, I wish you all the best. Enjoy the rest of your day. And always remember, oh, by the way, catch us on Roku. Don't forget that, of course. But catch us on JustNForm.com. Head there right now, JustNForm. Register. Social media website where all voices are welcome. Write an article. I would love it if anybody who writes an article for JustNForm, that's, well, of course, obviously needs to be factually correct. And if you write one, you get on the all content page. I will shout you out on our YouTube.